In times like these, we all need a word of encouragement. From pastor and best-selling author Max Lucado comes the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast. With over 40 years of ministry and more than 145 million books sold in 50 languages, Max shares the greatest story ever told, the living Savior who brings hope for a lifetime. Through rich biblical insight, heartfelt storytelling, you'll be reminded that God is always near, always for you, and always in you. Listen to the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast, where hope meets your day. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates. This show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. Tonight's show feels different, and it should. We're in the middle of Lent, a season built on reflection, restraint, memory, and intention. A time when food isn't just about indulgence, but about meaning, about tradition, about where we come from and why we still gather around the table, even when the menu is simpler, quieter, more deliberate. And that makes tonight's guest the perfect person to be here. Because my guest isn't just an Italian-American food lover. He's an Italian-American enthusiast, a storyteller, a preservationist of a culture that was never written down in textbooks, but passed hand to hand, plate to plate, Sunday after Sunday. Tonight, I'm joined by Tony Mangia. Tony is a North Jersey-born Italian-American storyteller, creator, and cultural preservationist whose work lives at the intersection of food, family, and old-school neighborhood tradition. Raised on red sauce, espresso, and long meals that started in the kitchen and ended at the table, Tony learned early that food isn't just what's next on the plate. It's who you are, where you come from, and who you sit next to. Known for his sharp eye for nostalgia and deep respect for Italian-American culinary culture, Tony has built a loyal following by documenting classic restaurants, social clubs, cafes, and the characters that define the heartbeat of North Jersey and New York. From Belmont Mondays and late-night cafe runs to feast days, family recipes, and community gatherings, his work celebrates the places and people that don't always make headlines, but matter most. Tony doesn't just talk about old-school Italian joints, he lives them. He understands them. He understands why they mattered then and why they still matter now, especially at a moment in time when so much feels fast, disposable, and forgettable. Because those red sauce joints, the ones with vinyl booths, the laminated menus, the same waiter who's been there for 30 years, they were never just restaurants. They were safe houses. They were where first-generation immigrants figuring out how to be American without letting go of being Italian, where English mixed with dialect, where kids learned how to behave at a table before they learned how to behave anywhere else, where recipes weren't perfected, they were protected. And during Lent, that meaning gets even deeper. Because for Italian-American families, Lent wasn't just about giving things up. It was about remembering discipline, humility, and faith through food. It was about pasta vazul on Fridays, sardines, bacala, simpler sauces, meatless Mondays that somehow tasted richer because of the story behind them. Old school joints honored that rhythm of life. They knew when to slow down, when to change the menu. They knew that food followed the calendar, not trends. Tony understands that these places weren't trying to be nostalgic. They were just being themselves. And somewhere along the way, authenticity became rare. We're living in a time where restaurants open and close overnight, where menus are designed for Instagram, where concept sometimes matters more than community. And yet, the places Tony champions, they endure. And why? Because they weren't built on hype. They were built on trust. Trust that the gravy would taste the same every time. Trust that the portion would be generous. Trust that the owner would come out from behind the counter and ask how your mother was doing. These joints were extensions of the home. For a lot of people, they were the home, especially for men who worked long hours, immigrants who lived in cramped apartments, or families still finding their footing. And Tony doesn't romanticize that. He respects it. Above all, Tony stands for one thing: staying at the table a little longer, honoring where you come from, and making sure the stories don't disappear. Tonight, we're talking about why these places shaped identity, why they anchored neighborhoods, why they taught values like loyalty, consistency, patience, and pride, and why the possibility of losing them means losing more than a menu. It means losing memory. During Lent, when we're asked to look inward, it's the perfect moment to ask, what are we holding on to? What are we letting go of? and what's worth preserving? Old school Italian-American joints answer those questions quietly, with a bowl of pasta, a piece of bread, a poured glass of wine, and a sense that you belong. Now, Tony and I both live in North Jersey, where the Italian population is very heavily represented. North Jersey and New York are some of the most Italian-American dense areas in the country because history, geography, and opportunity all aligned. Between 1880 and 1924, over 4 million Italians came to the U.S., with most arriving through Ellis Island. They settled close to the ports, so New York City and nearby North Jersey towns became their first homes. Often, one family member would arrive, then bring over the cousins, the siblings, and neighbors from the same Italian village, creating tight-knit communities. Jobs were another major factor. Italian immigrants often worked in construction, dock work, railroads, factories, and garment shops. Industries booming in New York City and industrial North Jersey, cities like Newark, Hoboken, Paterson. These jobs didn't require fluent English, and Italian networks helped get people hired. Discrimination and social exclusion also kept Italians together. Facing housing restrictions and prejudice, they clustered into neighborhoods for safety and support. Churches and Catholic parishes became the heart of these communities, hosting social events, feast days, and festivals that reinforced identity and tradition. Over time, these neighborhoods became self-sustaining, passing Italian-American culture, food, and values from one generation to the next, explaining why today the region is still a hub of Italian-American life. Tony Mangia reminds us that culture doesn't survive because it's fashionable. It survives because someone cares enough to remember it, talk about it, and fight for it. So tonight isn't just a food conversation. It's a cultural one. It's about legacy. It's about faith, family, and flavor. It's about why slowing down, especially during Lent, might be the most radical thing we can do. Stay with us because this is a conversation about where we've been and what we don't want to lose, and it starts now. Tony Mangia, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Christina.
This is going to be great. All right, so Tony jumped on one of my first shows back in 2024 with my other favorite Italianos, the guys from Songanopoly. So it's nice to have you on for the whole hour with me, Tony.
And I'm honored to be here. Yeah, that was kind of a quick appearance for me.
You were in and out.
I was doing over the phone, so it's actually nice to see you face to face,
yes,
be able to sit here
in the studio
in New York City. I mean, one of my favorite places in the world.
Absolutely. We had an incredible dinner a few weeks ago. We were at the Belmont Tavern in Belleville, New Jersey. I honestly felt so honored to be invited and break bread with this amazing group of people that were at this dinner. I think we have to give a shout out and let me know if I missed somebody. We had a 10-top that night, so it was Justin, Brendan, Gina, Michael, Serena, Brianna, Carissa, Deanna. Who else am I missing? Is that everyone?
I think you got everybody.
I think I got everyone. For real. It was so nice meeting a dynamic group of people that got together on a Monday night just to share a great meal. Question number one for the night.
All right.
How many tracksuits do you own? I need to know. Because you have this beautiful peach tracksuit on.
That's a very good question. I'm trying to think. I recently kind of redid my. I don't have I don't have a closet. I mean, it's going to sound funny. I don't have I have a closet obviously in my house. I have a room full of clothes, literally.
Wow.
I have an outdoor closet in my room. So. Oh, my
because
God.
This is what I'm thinking in my head. Like Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, when he goes in the closet and he's got all those suits lined up, that's what your tracksuits
that's
look
pretty
like.
much so. I'd say. So if I had to take a wild guess, I'm going to say I'm probably upwards of 40.
Wow.
Yeah, 40.
Every
40 and
color.
usually like Sergio Tacchini's. I mean, I do have some Fila's. I do have some, other brands. But yeah, I'm like.
This one's a good one. I do like this.
It's nice, right? I just took it out of the packaging before I got here, so I took a nice shower. I'm all fresh, and this is a fresh
gold chains. I mean, you're dressed at the part. I love it.
It's a fresh tracksuit.
All right, let's talk about your very busy social calendar, okay? Because I know you're out and about. You're on the town night after night. What's the lineup starting on Monday nights or at the Belmont Tavern?
Okay, so I mean, usually, unless there's a freak snowstorm, a hurricane, a volcano, I will be at the Belmont Tavern on Monday nights. That's like my that's the way I start my week.
That's a good way to start it.
So yeah, that Monday is like, to me, everybody looks forward to Friday and the weekend. I look forward to Monday. Monday's that's my day. But yeah, so Mondays are always Belmont unless I'm sick or unless something. If I'm traveling, obviously I can't be. I'm not Padre Pio. I can't be in two places at once. So the Belmont that's my Monday. And then like Tuesdays, I usually go to another local pizzeria, Italian restaurant in Totowa, New Jersey, which is Passaic County, called Sette. So that's usually my Tuesday night. Wednesdays, believe it or not, sometimes I eat home.
No way. I don't believe that for a second.
Sometimes I do eat home. So usually Wednesdays and Thursdays are usually home nights. And then Friday, in the summertime, I'm always at a place called Casano's Pizzeria.
It's in my town.
In Rutherford. I'm there usually on Friday nights, and the weather's nice. We'll sit outside. We'll have our pizza.
Yeah.
He makes the best chicken parm. It's like my favorite chicken parm of all time. And we'll have a nice cigar. We'll kind of kibitz. The guys will hang outside, and it's just a fun time. It's like going to your grandmother's house in a way.
Yeah, in the 1970s.
It's kind of set up like that. Like there's an old couch in there. There's an old TV playing old mob movies and stuff like that. So that's kind of my
let me interject.
Sure.
Today I get a text from my friend Sal Dragney, lives in Tottenville on Staten Island.
Mm-hmm.
He sends me a screenshot of something about Casano's. He goes, you know this joint? I'm like, yeah, it's in Rutherford. It's like, old school vibe, but it just opened like a year or two ago. I'm like, it's great. You got to come over.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's my Friday usually. And then the weekends, I kind of call audible. So it's, if I want to, I go with my wife, if she wants to, go try a new restaurant, we'll go try a new restaurant. Maybe we'll come to New York. We'll go to Brooklyn. We'll go down the shore. Yeah. So there's always something that we do on the weekend. It's usually different. Now it's been a little chilly. It's been cold. So usually on Saturdays I'll go to the cigar shop and hang out there.
Just hang out.
Yeah, have a drink and have a cigar. So that's kind of my week. But I really do appreciate and I really do think it's important to preserve the Italian American culture, the heritage, the food, and that's what makes you happiest.
You think my intro did it justice?
You knocked it out. That was a grand slam there.
Oh, wow.
That was a grand slam.
That was a long one.
I was very. I felt like I wanted. I was very. It was beautiful. Thank you. No, it means a lot to me.
All right. I wanted to do this show about old school joints, right? Because we're living in this fast-paced world, especially in New York. Restaurants come, restaurants go. You can't get reservations anywhere. Everything kind of looks the same. Velvet banquettes, dim lighting, like this posh aesthetic. But it's these old school places that really have a special place for me. And you took me to the Belmont. I had never been there before. But let's talk about some other spots in New Jersey. We have Angelo's in Lyndhurst. Right? Cash only, like the Belmont. Oh,
no, recently?
No, they're doing credit card now?
They do credit card now, yeah. Same small menu, but they do have credit card.
They caved?
They caved. Not the Belmont, but Angelo's did cave,
right.
Which is good, though. That's good.
I mean, it's convenient, but that actually goes down a notch on my list now. You have Laco's in Jersey City.
Oh, yeah.
15 Fox Place. Okay. I know Cafe Roma in East Rutherford. You're there all the time. Social clubs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just there really are. I mean, people always say, okay, Jersey this, Jersey that, Jersey. What exit? I mean, it's all these corny jokes about Jersey, but really there is so much to New Jersey. There really is so much, especially the North Jersey, because like you mentioned in the introduction, a lot of Italian immigrants settled in places like Hoboken, Patterson, Newark, New Jersey, and so these places were hubs. If you think about it, I think we were talking a little bit about it when we were at the Belmont, like Newark, which is the next town over from Belleville. At one time, they in their old first ward, it was the 5th largest Little Italy in America.
Wow!
In America, I mean, not just in New Jersey, not just in the tri-state metropolitan area, in America. So, I mean, really, our area that we live in is just so infused with Italian American culture, and it's just kind of the way we talk. It's the way the foods that we eat. I mean, we go to the bakery, we get cannoli.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk to an Italian, they'll say, we say it wrong. It's supposed to be cannolo for one, cannoli for multiples, but we say cannoli.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the I at the end makes it plural.
Oh, okay. See, learn something new.
A little history lesson.
So a ganol.
So I mean, I talk Italian American. I say, I want a ganol.
Yeah.
But yeah. So technically, it wouldn't be cannolis. It would be cannoli. It would be multiple. Oh. Cannolo is one.
All right, I probably sounded foolish.
But no, because that's the way we talk here. That's who we are. That's what makes us who we are. Yeah. And it's important to be proud of who we are. I think sometimes, I go to Italy as often as I can, and I think that sometimes in America, we're more Italian than they are over there.
Yeah.
Because we like to preserve what was brought here. We preserve with our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our parents, whoever came here, whoever made the sacrifice to travel 4,000, 5,000, whatever, how many miles to come to America. I mean, you kind of have to tip your hat to those people and
That's
say,
right.
You know what, thank you for I always say it's important to know our heritage. We have to know where our people came from, the sacrifice that they made for us to be here, because without them, I mean, this is just another place.
That's right. It's important to note that the only respectable part of New Jersey is North Jersey. Okay? Sorry, South Jersey listeners. You might as well be Pennsylvania, okay? North Jersey's where it's at.
Although I got to be, if I can be honest with you, one of my favorite places, and I think that it gets a bad rap a lot of times, is actually Philadelphia.
Really?
There's a lot.
I don't know much about Philly.
Great Italian American restaurants, people in Philadelphia. And I think sometimes Philly, they always get the bad rap, the Giants versus the Eagles, beep and a bop, the sports thing. Philly is a great city. And it almost feels like the way New Jersey and New York used to be back, say, in like when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
It still has like that strong community bond. Whenever I can, I always try to give a shout out to Philly because
give me a good restaurant there.
Oh my God! All right, so there's a place I recently went to called the Bomb Bomb Bar. Opened originally in the
strip club.
No, it's called Bomb Bomb. So during Prohibition, they said, I guess it was in the 30s, somewhere around there, the bar was bombed twice in 1 year.
Oh wow!
So that's the name of that's why they called it the Bomb Bomb Bar. But it was recently bought by a chef who has another great restaurant in Collingswood, New Jersey, called Zeppeli.
Okay.
His name is Joey Baldino. He also owns a place called Polizzi Social Club. So Polizzi Social Club, just to give a quick history of it, it was a former social club, men only.
As most of them were.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And a place where you could play cards and you have espresso, maybe have a dinner once a week. But so this place was a social club. It was created by the people from a town in Abruzzo called Vasto, which is a seaport town. So the people came to South Philly. They opened up a club. Unfortunately, as things happen, people move away from the neighborhood, people die, and the club was going to close. So Joey has a connection to the town, I think, through one of his relatives. He was able to become the president of the club, and he took it over, and now it's a private dining club. So it's a private dining social club,
but
open to everybody,
women,
men.
Okay.
It's a cash only,
like
no
that?
pictures allowed inside.
Oh wow!
But the place looks like you're stepping into a Belmont Tavern in a way.
I like it.
Yeah,
so
you kind of like you knock on the door, they slide the
You've
thing.
been there.
Oh, I've been there.
All right,
I'm
that's
a
our
member.
next spot.
I'm a member. Yeah, I'm a member.
You are.
Yes.
Of course you are. That does not surprise me at all. One place I've never actually been inside, and I live right by it, is Cafe Roma.
Really?
I've never been there.
Oh, that's my joint. That's my spot. I mean, I'm going to give. I love the owner is Mike LeBou. He is. I call him a brother from another mother. He really. I've been going there religiously for like the last 6 or so years, but I feel like I've known Mike my whole life. He's such a good, warm person. He's Sicilian American. His parents were born in Sicily. He just loves our culture. He loves, and people sometimes are afraid of going to cafes. Don't be afraid of going to cafes.
I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you why Cafe Roma. There's always guys sitting outside drinking espresso.
And I'm usually one of them. So
and you're usually
I'm the nicest guy in the world.
I don't know. I'll just
no,
keep
but
going.
I mean, sometimes you have to, just say the hell with it. I'm going to park my car. I want a coffee. I need an espresso, a good espresso. Not, I'm not to knock any of the large chains or
Starbucks.
whatever. But I mean, for me, it's important. And again, I think it's that connection. I mean, yeah, maybe they know they'll spell your name wrong at a place like that, but at least at Mike's place, they're not going to spell your own. He's going to remember who you are. You're going to see him. He's going to see you. He's going to say, "Oh, there's Tony." So that's I think then, and that's a thing that unfortunately, as great as technology and our phones are, that is what is kind of killing the future generations because they're too reliant on phones and not relying on having a conversation.
You need the human connection.
You need the human connection. I mean, I think that's what kind of hurt. Unfortunately, when you had COVID and closing schools and the kids not having connection to their peers really hurts. And I think that, I mean, believe me, I'm addicted to my phone. I'm always on my phone. I'm always posting. But at the end of the day, if I could have a conversation with somebody face to face, the hell with it. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. And again, that's why I think breaking bread. That's why I think going to these restaurants again, whether it could be anywhere really. You just have to be
Olive
with someone.
Garden.
No, not Olive Garden.
Okay.
No, not Olive Garden. No, and that's one place I've never set foot in, and I never will.
Same.
Yeah, never. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
No.
I apologize.
Unless they want to sponsor the show, call me.
No, but I mean, it is so important that we are human beings. We have to be around other human beings, and for too long we just have a disconnect, or I guess as small as the social media and the phone makes the world, we are losing what we had.
Yep.
Even 10, 15 years ago.
I agree with that. I see something on, I think it's Instagram. It's like a mom with her kids, and she's like, we're pretending we're in the 90s, where she like makes them go outside all day and can't come back in until the sun goes down. She's like, we're playing the 90s. And I'm like, that's exactly what it should be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember as a kid going out and playing with my friends, whether you're playing in the schoolyard.
Manhunt.
Manhunt. That was a big North Jersey thing, Manhunt. But yeah, I mean, nobody does it anymore.
No.
Okay, don't get me wrong. Did I like video games growing up? Yeah, I played Sega, Nintendo. But when my mom or dad said, "Hey, that's it," that was it.
And that was it.
That was it. You're not getting another chance at that.
No.
Or they're going to come over, they're going to unplug it, and they're taking it away for a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, you had to, and I think that's something too that. Maybe I'm old school in certain respects. I don't have any children, but like I think that. I'm not saying that you have to go out and give the kid a shkiaf, as they say.
A wooden spoon?
Yeah, we I'm not going to say, we all had that, but I think, I'm not saying that, corporal punishment is the right way, but I think sometimes, I think that parents, and again, I don't want to become a show about raising kids, but I think sometimes parents try to be too friendly with their children, and instead of actually
laying the law down. That's right. Old school way.
Yeah.
All right. Why do you think these old school spots that we're talking about resonate so strongly, even with the younger generations? Because I'll tell you, when we were in the Belmont, I did see some younger kids coming in. It's almost like a rite of passage to be able to go to some of these places.
You're absolutely right. And I think some of it is social media. I think people are seeing it. I know actually we did a video there in December with the guys from Growing Up Italian.
You did?
Yeah, we did.
Those guys are so funny.
Yeah, so we did a video there in the beginning of December. I think it came out like just before Christmas. And they kind of got like a bump at the Belmont just from people watching. People that haven't been there in 10, 15, 20 years. They wanted to go see what it was, if it was still there. And then you have the younger generation that want to come in. They want to see, okay, what's this place about?
Because it hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed.
When did it open, you think?
The current ownership has been there, I want to say, since 1965.
Wow.
Around 65, 66, somewhere around there. I don't know the exact date, but yeah. So but I think people. If you think about it, what's one of the most famous restaurants in New York City? Carbone, right?
Oh yeah.
Which tries to have that same old school aesthetic in a way, although they're charging a lot of money for the food, and the food's great, but still, and again, that's not a knock at Carbone. I've never been there.
First of all, Mario Carbone said Italian cooking is better in America than it is in Italy.
Yeah. I'm not. Italian American cooking. Yeah. Also, when you go to Italy, you're not going to get chicken parm.
Hell no.
But I love chicken parm.
Yeah, it's delicious.
And I think that's like I said, sometimes I think that Italian, like real quote unquote real Italians from Italy, they don't understand. Like Italy has 20 regions. There's 20 regions in Italy, but America, or Italian, I call it Italian America, is the 21st region because it became a region of Italy in a way. Yeah, it became a region of Italy because of when again to give props to our ancestors when they came here, they didn't have everything that was grown and that was in Italy, so they had to make do with what they had here.
That's right. I had this guy Frank Giovane on the show earlier this year. He said the same exact thing.
But it's true because was there chicken in Italy? Yeah, there was chicken in Italy. Was there, I'm trying to think, veal? Yeah, of course there was. But we just kind of made things bigger in America, big portions, everything is big. It's the land of plenty. Whereas in Italy, you would have a little.
They're serving a pasta.
A little bowl of pasta, a little bowl of. They call it cucina povera, like the poor person's cuisine. But again, that stuff now, you go to a restaurant in New York City, they're charging you $50 for a plate of pasta or $50 for a plate of beans.
And they put a dollop of caviar on it and call it a day.
Caviar, I don't know. I can't get it. The only time I'm on caviar is on my sushi.
Yeah, there you go.
And I do eat. Believe it or not, I do eat sushi. I'm not. I don't eat. There's a lot of things I don't eat, but that's one thing I do like, actually.
No, I know. I've seen you at some sushi spots. All right, let's do this. Let's go to our first commercial break. I hate to do this because I think we're just vibing so well here, but stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 55 East 59th Street, New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. Still with us is Tony Mangia, and we've been digging into the roots of Italian-American history, from the old neighborhoods of New York and New Jersey to the red sauce joints that shaped generations. This is the culture, the food, and the faith, especially during Lent. Tony, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
This is so good. I love it. All right, growing up Italian-American, how was Lent observed at the table compared to today?
Oh man. Well, I mean, it's still. I mean, for me personally, I try to keep it the way that I learned growing up. I mean, obviously things change, and but it's still. I mean, it is a penitential season.
Ooh,
so
I've never used that word before.
Yes,
I
it's
like
a penitential. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I use a church word now and then.
Hell
I use what do they call it? A $5 word.
I like it.
But no, I mean, it is a penitential season. It's a season of reflection. It's a season of. I mean, to be honest, people don't really. I guess people don't realize it, but Advent and Lent are actually two penitential seasons. It isn't just like Lent is a penitential season and Advent is just a big party before Christmas.
All.
Yeah, no, they're actually both penitential seasons. That's why if you go to like a Catholic church, you'll see them wear purple.
Yep.
Leading up to Advent, or leading up to Christmas, and then purple again in Lent, leading up to Easter. And then they do wear a color, which I'm wearing today, which they call rose. So it's kind of rose or pink. I guess
it's a little peachy.
It's peachy. Yeah, but they wear rose. It's kind of it's like a break, quote unquote, break in the fast to a certain. So that's usually like the fourth week of Lent or third week or fourth week, and then like third week of Advent. But yeah, it's not. I'm not a theologian, so I won't get into the ins and outs of the Catholic Church. But yeah, but I mean, but being raised an Italian American Catholic, I mean, that was something that was so important to my family. I mean, I was an altar boy for many years at my church, St. Joseph's in Lodi, which actually my great grandfather was one of the founders of.
Wow!
Back in like 1917. My family helped to found this church, and they still have a great Italian festival every Labor Day weekend. It's the same, although St. Joseph's Day is actually around this time, March 19th, but we always celebrate it on Labor Day weekend. It was always Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Labor Day Monday was a big procession, fireworks, the whole 9 yards. And that's, and again, I think one thing about Italians, there's always been fasting and feasting. The two F's, fasting and feasting, is something that's a very integral part of the Catholic faith as well as the Italian American experience or the Italian experience. Because again, you think about in the old days when the crops didn't grow, what did they do? They had to kind of fast. I mean, they had to kind of make do whatever they had. And that's where that cucina povera comes from. You're talking about the beans and the scarole and this and that. You had what you could either preserve or stuff that you had, in the cupboard, or, do we use the word anymore? Cupboard? I don't even know.
No, well, let's bring it back. The cupboard.
The cupboard.
Pantry.
But yeah, again, I know totally got off that subject, but to bring it back to Lent, it's just, it is an important time. I mean, Fridays were, and even to be honest, outside of Lent, we are supposed to make Friday a day of
Fish Fridays.
Yeah. That's why fish fries were always big, and especially during Lent. Fish fries were huge in like Catholic churches. But so Friday was even pizza day. So growing up, it was outside of Lent, you could have sausage and pepperoni on the pizza if you wanted to, but usually it was always pizza throughout, 360, however many, 52 Fridays, I guess there are, 52 weeks in a year, 52 Fridays, they would always be pizza on Friday. So that's something that I always grew up having, is pizza on Friday. I mean, and usually like Sundays was always the day you had macaroni.
Yeah.
I call it macaroni. I know people call it pasta. They call it spaghetti or whatever. But spaghetti is a type of macaroni to me, or a type of pasta. Macaroni, usually it's shorter. I mean, but that's, again, I'm not going to get into the intricacies of it. But yeah, Sunday was always, I would say meatballs, macaroni, and mangia. That was our Sundays.
I love that.
But again, the food always revolved around the Italian American experience. Always revolved around food. So you think about it, when you went to a wedding, there was food. When you went to a funeral, there was food.
Yep.
So there was always we always and even now I talk to my friends or my wife, like, what are we having for dinner? And it could be like, we're eating breakfast. What are we having for later? Whatever for dinner. So you're always thinking about the next meal.
You're
always thinking
what's
about
coming down the pipe.
what's next. And I think that's. it's just, and I think that's something that translates kind of well into this new technology of social media, because we are always trying to find the next meal. We're trying to find the next big place.
Yeah.
Is it going to be this new restaurant that's opening up? Who's the first person that's going to post it on social media? Who's going to get the invite? So I think that there are some similarities to the old ways and these new ways as well.
We were just talking about St. Joseph's Day. What's that pastry? St. Joseph's pastry?
Well, okay, here we go. So in Naples, they would call it a zeppoli or a zeppola.
Okay.
Zeppoli di San Giuseppe. In Sicily, they have something called a sfinge. So a sfinge is more of a spherical fried dough, and they smother or they put some ricotta cream on top of it with like a little candied orange peel. Those are my personal favorite, although there are places that make an amazing zeppola is kind of like a pâte choux pastry, and they fry it. And so it's almost like a cream puff in a way, but it's more, a little bit more designed with the piped out, and again with either ricotta cream. It could be what's the other cream? Not Bavarian, like a chantilly or
like a custard.
Custard cream. Yeah. So St. Joseph's Day is always kind of like the reprieve in Lent a little bit. So it's kind of but again, it was always a day of eating fish. So for the Sicilian, especially for the Sicilians, there's a famous dish called pasta con sarde.
Okay.
Which is my favorite. I know some people say, "Oh, sardines, gross."
Wait, are you Sicilian?
I am Sicilian.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a Southern Italian mutt. I have part of my family's from Salerno, the province of Salerno. Part of my family's from the province of Benevento. I have some Calabrese in me. But the Sicilian side, because that's a side that I still talk to. I still talk to my family in Sicily.
Yeah.
So that's I feel the strongest connection to. I've seen my cousins in Sicily, whereas I haven't seen anybody in the other places yet. But you never know. Maybe one day I will.
Wait, I cut you off before. You were talking about the sardines.
Oh, so pasta con sarde. That's a real Sigi. I call it Sicilian. A real Sigi. That's a real Sigi dish that we have on March 19th for the Feast of St. Joseph. And it's sardines with a little bit of, it could be some tomato sauce. Some people use it, some people don't. But it's usually pine nuts in it, and it's they call it, it's wild fennel, so it's finocchio salvatico. It's like the wild fennel, and they make it. And you can actually buy it in a can. It's like they call it the pasta con sarde condiment, and you can just mix it at home if you want to. But obviously, you can cook it from scratch, and it takes a lot. It's a lot of work.
All right, so your love of saints and Italian festivals. Where did that come from?
I would say the big thing was my maternal. I never met my dad's parents. But my mom's mom was very much into her faith. She, always going to church on. She would usually go on Saturday nights. We would go for the vigil, so we would always go to church. And again, it was just something that was instilled. I was baptized, I think, about 3 weeks after I was born. So our faith was something that was so important to us. And, being Italian American, I mean, again, like I said, there was always some kind of food you had for different feast days. Again, we talk about St. Joseph's and the pasta con sarde, the zeppoli. I mean, there were other things for Christmas Eve. I'm sure you've heard of the Feast of the Seven Fishes.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, I mean, so there are these different things that you kind of break up the year with these feasts, but also with these foods. Strufoli, again, and that's like a Christmas thing. Panettone, which seems to be getting bigger nowadays than it was when I was a kid. You kind of just bought it. That's usually that was a gift that kept on giving, because you would bring it to somebody's house. You would bring it to somebody's house, and they would bring it to somebody else's house. But I'll be honest with you, I love panettone.
There's like dried fruit in it. Right?
Yeah, it's like candied fruit. I love it. I love it. It's not like a fruit cake.
Fruit cake. That's what I was thinking.
It's not really a fruit cake, because fruit cake is like all that inside of it. This has some dough and stuff. But I think that, not to get too far off the subject, but I think that one thing that we were also missing. I remember growing up, it would be normal for an aunt, an uncle, or cousin to just pop in at your house.
Oh, yeah.
Knock on the door. Oh, you want some coffee? And there would always be the box of Entenmann's. It'd always be
just
a box.
Just like Sebastian Maniscalco does that skit. It's so true.
But it's true. And it would always be, and you would leave the knife inside the box. I mean, that's just what you did. That was just something that was part of our life. And I think that, unfortunately, we have lost that as well. I mean, I think as the older generations die off, sadly, nobody goes to anybody's house anymore.
No, because at first you're going to send the text and be like, hey, are you home? Can I stop by? And then you got to wait for the reply. And no one does that.
Nobody.
I mean, my house growing up was Grand Central Station.
Like a revolving door.
I would wake up on a Saturday morning. There'd be people sitting at the kitchen table with a box of Dunkin' Donuts. They'd be like, "Oh, we were in the neighborhood. We just pop by."
Yeah.
My parents' house is still like that today, but no one comes to my house. If someone rings my doorbell, I'm like, "Oh God,
You
what
close
happened?"
the door. You're looking out the window.
Yeah, because
you
people
know.
just don't do it anymore. We have to go to commercial break, Ryan? Yeah? Okay. Tony, don't go anywhere. We're going to our break. Stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 55 East 59th Street, New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Okay, we're back with Tony Mangia talking the old school spots, places that didn't just feed you, they raised you. During Lent, when tradition matters most, we're revisiting Italian-American history, family tables, and the New York and New Jersey institutions that define who we are. You know, we didn't really talk too much about New York. You want to give any highlights to some New York places, old school places?
I would love to.
Because I don't really know a ton in the outer boroughs or anything like that.
I mean,
we're in Little Italy.
Mostly nowadays. I mean, a lot of. I mean, in the city itself is more of these newer restaurants. But Little Italy is still there. People think that it's just a tourist attraction, but there are some really great spots in Little Italy. One of my go-tos is Danico, right on Mulberry Street. Great spot. There's Cafe Napoli, another great spot, still owned by Italian Americans.
Great.
So don't be afraid. Go to these places. Tell them Tony Mangia sent you. I mean, go say hello and go have a nice meal. I mean, one of my favorite things at Danico's is they make a great lasagna. Real, like old school lasagna, just really well done. And so I mean, in the outer boroughs, you're talking about like Brooklyn. Obviously, you have to talk when you talk about Brooklyn and Italian America. You have to talk about Bamonte's, which is supposedly they created chicken parm. So me mentioning chicken parm, you have to give homage to the creator. So they do say that Bamonte's created chicken parm, and obviously there's Rayo. I mean, you can't dismiss Rayo's.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that the other night.
The hardest reservation ever to get it. I mean, you can't. So I mean, that's another great spot.
I remember when I went there. I've only been there one time. It was probably like a year ago. I got the call that morning from my friend. He's like, "Yeah, I got a table at Rayo's tonight. Can you come?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I got my kids tonight. What am I going to do with my kids?" I call my parents. I'm like, "I need them to sleep over your house. It's a school night. I don't think you understand. I have to go to this dinner. Like, you can't get reservations. You have to own the table." Like, I got the call. I'm there. Thank God they did.
And then you have a place like Parkside, which is in Queens, another great old school Italian American spot. I mean, and then there's even like just the little delis and the little places like Pasta Fresca, great spot in Brooklyn. Charlie is a great guy. I was actually out there a couple of weeks ago to give him a plug. Great person. He makes sfogliatelle or sfogliatelle, however you want to say it. The sfogliatells he makes them, but he puts savory fillings inside.
Oh, interesting.
So there's like bolognese, or there's sausage and peppers, sausage and broccoli rabe. And he has a restaurant right next door called Mama Rayo's.
Wait, did Barada Babe do something about
Yeah, I think
because I saw she did buffalo chicken.
Yes,
okay.
exactly. But again, there are so many of these little spots. I mean, little cafes, little pizzerias. I mean, we can talk about pizza until the cows come home, because pizza in New York is synonymous.
Yep.
I mean, you say pizza, and everybody has their favorite. And then but again, there are so many places outside. I mean, even up in the Bronx, there's a Little Italy, Arthur Avenue. Yeah. So I mean, I always say go to these places, go check them out.
Do it. Okay, when are you going to be the Grand Marshal at the San Gennaro Festival?
I don't know. Maybe you got to have to do a petition.
That feels very fitting, right? I mean, there's no better ambassador.
I mean, growing up, that was a place. Little Italy was a place that my father would take me almost every weekend. He was there all the time. There was a little place. It's no longer there, unfortunately. Now it's a They sell handbags. It was called Casa Victoria.
Okay.
And it was a small little cafe just south of Hester, right on Mulberry Street. And I remember as a child, I mean, I was talking 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, going there every weekend with my father.
Oh, I love that.
And that's why I have such fond memory. I mean,
Let's talk about your dad, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's finish up and talk about your dad, because he had a deli, right?
He did have a deli.
Is that where
Lodi,
the love
New
of
Jersey.
food
He had
came from?
Well, I don't know if that was part of the love for food. I mean, I've always had a love for food. I have the pons, I have the stomach, as they say.
The pons.
I have a panza. But I love to eat, and my dad was a great. My mom was a good cook too. She was a great baker, but my dad was an amazing cook. Like he could cook. He could just go in the fridge, grab some ingredients, and you have an amazing dinner that could rival Carbone or any of these places. But yeah, my father was my best friend. I lost him in 2002, and that was like one of the. I lost actually both of my parents before I was 20 years old. So, but losing my dad, because I lost my mom. I was in high school still, so you do what you can. You gotta get through it. But when I lost my dad, I was like I lost everything. I mean, just. He was the most important person to me. He was my best friend, and so I that's why I think I also feel like an old soul in a way, and I try to preserve everything that was taught to me by him, and just because that's it. I'm kind of the last of the line, so after me, there's nothing. So I need
this is personal for you.
Yes, so for me it is, and that's why I try to introduce places like the Belmont to my younger friends, because we have to preserve these places. And unfortunately, nothing lasts forever. But while it's here, we have to embrace it, because when we lose something, it's just something that we have to have passion about it. We have to wrap our arms around it and hold it as long as we can, because unfortunately, nothing is forever.
I know, but you're doing all that you can do.
I'm trying.
You can't be shoving Italian-American culture down our throats anymore. I love it. And you have this new school group, right? You met this whole group in Fort Lauderdale. What was that?
Yeah, so to give a quick plug, it's called the Italian-American Future Leaders Conference. They have a great conference every year in January. We go down to Florida. We have Italians. And believe me, there are Italians in Arkansas. There's Italians in Nebraska. There's Italians.
The ones in Arkansas are in the witness protection program.
No, they're actually, most of them are Sicilian in that area. But we didn't even touch on New Orleans and their rich Italian heritage. But yeah, they're just great to see other young Italian Americans that are passionate about our culture, about our heritage, about our food, about all these things. And so yeah, every January we get together. This year I think we're up to like 300 people. We're at the conference, and a lot of the kids I brought the night that we went to the Belmont, they were actually like the New Jersey part of the New Jersey contingent that went down to Fort Lauderdale.
That was so cool. And by the way, I came into that dinner not knowing all these people were coming, the backstory or anything. So we meet in a parking lot, right? We meet in the Valley National Bank parking lot by the Belmont Tavern. And then all of a sudden, one by one, people start getting out of their cars and forming in the middle. I'm like, what's going on? I thought I was just having dinner with Tony Mangia and a friend or two. And it was like 10 of us. And I'm like, oh, wait, they all know each other? Yeah. And then like throughout the dinner, it's like, oh, they just kind of met each other at that Italian conference. You guys seemed like you've known each other forever. Everyone was so comfortable together. It was just so nice to see.
But I think that's one of the positives of Italian Americans is that on one hand they can be very jealous and they can be very undermining, but on the other hand, I think that we have such a strong passion and such a strong pride that we do try to come together, and we try to kind of put whatever differences the past generations have, and we try to just grow from here, because unfortunately, if you're always fighting, you're never going to get anywhere. So
right.
you need to look at the future, and that's kind of what I think the younger generation is doing. They're saying, okay, if we don't preserve it, it's gone.
I love it. And again, I felt so honored to be at that table.
It was an honor for me to have you there.
Oh, can't wait to do it again. All right, that brings us to our ingredient of the week. And tell me if I'm saying this wrong, Tony, because it's the Italian word for chickpeas, which is ceci. Okay, so that's our ingredient of the week. It might be one of the quietest ingredients in the Italian kitchen, but it's also one of the most important, because ceci were never about indulgence. They were about endurance. In Italy and later in Italian-American homes, chickpeas were the definition of cucina povera. Did I say that right? Povera. Okay. Povera. Cucina povera. Food of necessity, not luxury. They were inexpensive, shelf-stable, and filling. And during Lent, when meat disappeared from the table, ceci didn't just step in, they held the line. You see these chickpeas show up again and again in Lenten cooking because they answered a deeper need. They provided protein when there was none, comfort when options were limited, and warmth when meals were meant to be simpler, quieter, more intentional. In Italian-American households, ceci weren't flashy. They were trusted. A pot on the stove that simmered slowly, garlic sizzling gently in olive oil, maybe a bay leaf, maybe escarole added at the end. Nothing fancy, just time and care. Old school Italian-American restaurants understood this instinctively. They didn't just put ceci on the menu to impress anyone. They served them because that's what people needed, especially on Fridays during Lent. Pasta e ceci wasn't a special, it was sustenance. And for someone like Tony Mangia, ceci represents something bigger than a recipe. They represent a generation that knew how to feed families without excess, a generation that believed food should ground you, not distract you. Ceci also tells us something important about why those old school joints mattered. They weren't built around abundance. They were built around care. Care for the calendar, care for the customer, care for tradition. During Lent, ceci reminds us that restraint doesn't mean emptiness. It means intention. It means choosing ingredients that nourish both the body and the memory. And in a world that keeps chasing the next big thing, a bowl of pasta e ceci, simple, honest, and deeply rooted, might be the most radical dish of all. Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. Tune in next week for a show with deep roots in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. There was a famous restaurant there called the Prima Donna, owned by Joe Costanzo Jr. Do you know this place?
I do not.
No?
But I know there's a lot of Italians in Pittsburgh.
Exactly. Okay. It was a place to see and be seen. So much so that his daughter, Marie Costanzo Palmer, wrote a book about it called On the Rocks, The Story of the Prima Donna. So that's going to be a good one. And Tony, I just got to thank you for coming in studio and coming on the show tonight. This was by far one of my favorites. You are a special person. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Christina. It means a lot to be here, and let's eat. Let's manja.
Let's manja. let's bring the whole crew in studio one day.
Oh.
We need more mics, Ryan Pagano.
Now that would be a treat.
That would be a treat. The station wouldn't be able to handle it, to be honest with you.
I would.
But that is the show for tonight. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.
In times like these, we all need a word of encouragement. From pastor and best-selling author Max Lucado comes the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast. With over 40 years of ministry and more than 145 million books sold in 50 languages, Max shares the greatest story ever told, the living Savior who brings hope for a lifetime. Through rich biblical insight, heartfelt storytelling, you'll be reminded that God is always near, always for you, and always in you. Listen to the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast, where hope meets your day. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.